Oh, look out now. It's the Bourbon and Banter podcast, the most honest and biggest podcast in all of bourbon. That's right, friends and neighbors. We got everything you need to drink curious right here. This is your source for straight up, no BS commentary on the bourbon world. So sit back, grab a pour, and check your feelings at the door, because we're here to lay it down for you as only Bourbon and Banter can. And now your hosts, let me tell you, they really take the cake and the bourbon. Come to think of it, they take the pie, the cookies, the ice cream, the donuts, all of it. That's why they are the biggest podcast in bourbon. I'm telling you, here they are.
Damn, Bob, that's a lot of taking, you know? That must be why we're so damn generous with our knowledge, our wisdom, and our honesty.
Well, there you go. But we're also so full with our pies and cakes and cookies and ice cream and donuts and bourbon and everything else. So you kind of get a theme running through this whole thing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. But you know what? Without all of that taking our mind and being full, I think it's time for us to go ahead and share via today's podcast episode. What do you think?
Welcome, folks. Number 17 is here.
Well, you know, we're not quite enjoying ourselves like the last podcast sitting down in Louisville, but I guess this will do. So how are you, my friend?
I'm good. We're still enjoying ourselves, right?
Well, that's true.
Got drink in hand, right? What are you drinking today, Pops?
I went ahead and cracked open a sample of Larceny's most recent barrel proof release. They sent me a little sample bottle of it. This would be batch number B521, coming in at a mild 121 proof.
Very nice. I've got a little WB Saffel. Got to put the accent on it. WB, because I think about there's a road in Charlotte, North Carolina, you know, or W.T. Harris. So I think WB Saffel, fantastic little gem out of Wild Turkey there. 107 proof. Very nice. Doesn't say Wild Turkey on it anywhere, but we all know it's Wild Turkey.
That's right. I have not had it yet. If you can believe that.
I think this is a couple years ago, and I have a little bit left. Part of the bourbon, the Whiskey Barons collection.
That's right. You know what? I may have had it. I may have written a review about it. You know, those reviews just kind of collide together over the years.
Yeah. Gets you don't remember what you had, when you had it, and where you had it. And I keep thinking about stuff in last year and realize it was 2 years ago because we lost an entire year.
Exactly. Well, you know, speaking of the years colliding together, it is our 10th anniversary now. I mean, officially, technically, July is our 10th anniversary month, but we're not going to really celebrate it till we get to September, which is Bourbon Heritage Month.
As we celebrate every year, but this year, a little bigger, a little better, beautiful Bourbon Heritage Month. So get your livers ready, boys and girls.
And good news, Bob, I've ordered both of us larger jumpsuits for the whole month.
There you go, which
Comfort.
is perfect, too. I mean, they have a dual thing because then, you know, you're saving the police money when they've got to pack us up and throw us away. So we already got the jumpsuit.
Yeah, well, I did. I splurged for the rhinestone trim. It's going to look super sharp.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
So real quick, we're going to run through a couple updates here for everyone before we dive into the rest of the show. First off, our Single Barrel Club continues to move forward with plenty of very happy customers. And we just released the bottles from our Yellowstone pick that we did earlier this year with the legendary Jim Rutledge, former master distiller, Four Roses. And those bottles came into town. We got those sent out, and we're getting very, very good reviews from everyone that we did a good job on that pick. And that's
a tasty morsel right there, boy. That is a very, very tasty bottle. Gorgeous label, too. I got to hand it to the folks at Yellowstone. Very, very nice looking bottle. Great whiskey inside.
Absolutely. No need.
And it's a pretty solid bargain, too. It's what, 50, 55? So
yeah. And, you know, it's sourced from Barton. Right, so it's not their own juice, but that's okay. And but it's 115 proof, so we're pleased with it. And that label, you're absolutely right, is very sharp, and no need for a tater sticker on that bottle. So we kept it clean. But we've got lots of other single barrels that are going to be coming out. So if you have not become a member yet, head on over to patreon.com/bourbon banter and sign up. We've got lots of different membership levels, so it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. And remember, all the single club member get first access to our single barrel releases. And what a lot of people don't realize is you also get them at a discounted price off what they will be if they make it to the shelves. So a good deal all around. Another quick update is our Bourbon and Banter members community. If you've been listening for a while, you know that we have been alpha testing a members only community, and we were using a platform called Circle, which we liked due to the features and whatnot, but they're still having lots of growing pains. So we've decided to move our community over to Slack, which is a well-established communication messaging platform that people use in businesses around the world. We also use it here for the internal team at Bourbon and Banter. And we've just moved over about a week ago, and we've already seen a huge boost in engagement and interaction. So I think that's the right call for sure, lesson learned. And so if you are interested in becoming part of our members community, there's two ways to do it. One is to join our Patreon community and get in. Everyone who joins that is guaranteed access. And then for anyone else interested, drop us an email at podcast@bourbonbanter.com and let us know that you'd like to join. We'll send you a link that you fill out a little information, and then we'll let you in. We're going to open it up to another 50 Patreon members. So get your email in early, and we'll let you be part of that community and try it out as we continue to grow that. Lots of fun stuff, a lot of stuff that maybe isn't going to be published anywhere. So we have a lot of fun. And the nice thing is we can still have fun. We can still talk bullshit, but there's no bullying. There's no thread shitting. There's none of that crazy shit that happens in Facebook groups and other places of the web that you tend to want to avoid. So we hope you are interested and want to come join us. And just to highlight kind of some of the fun stuff that happens in the community, I want to share the community thread of the month. And Bob, did you post this originally? This image that you found?
I posted the photo initially, and I posted the photo of it, and I said, "What the actual fuck?" So somebody had done a bourbon, not an infinity bottle, an infinity barrel, where they were just taking all of the samples that they had gotten and not finished and pouring them into a barrel.
Yeah, and let me clarify. This person appears to be getting samples, full bottle samples from distilleries, and they obviously aren't passing muster to be drank individually, and they're dumping them all together. So for me, I see this, and I have known people who have purposely chosen certain brands and bought bottles to do this, right? They buy like a 15-gallon barrel, like a small one. But this individual is 53-gallon all the way, which I have to applaud that, right? Go big. But he's pouring all this random shit in there, and it's going to take a while, first of all, to do that. But part of me is kind of like, at the end of the day, it's going to be like the generic blend, like a Jim Beam White Label. And then I think some
Jim Beam White Label is probably better than what's
right.
going to come out of that. If this thing wound up as good as Jim Beam White Label, I'd be shocked. Why? I just don't fucking understand. Why do this? Why even bother?
Well, I only have one.
That's what we're thinking, and I think everybody in the community was thinking the same thing when they saw it.
Yeah, I mean, the response was pretty focused, right, in alignment. I can tell you though, as someone that gets a lot of samples that I don't want to finish the bottle of, I have a lot of shit sitting around, and I've always thought of, what the hell do I do with this? At some points I'm like, hey, I should parcel this out, put it in the samples, and auction it off to people in our Patreon community who can pay for the shipping, right? There's lots of things to do. I guess this is just another way to do it, but talk about commitment. I mean, how long is it going to take to fill that? Which means, then how long is it sitting in the oak? There's so many ways for it to go sideways. So kudos for a great little Instagram post to get people riled up, but I'll be very intrigued to see if at some point down the line, the project actually comes to fruition.
I don't care. I just fucking, it's like, there was just so much bullshit everywhere this week, and not even belonging in bourbon bullshit. You got the fucking mac and cheese ice cream shit you see in this. Kiss my ass.
Well,
I'm riled up at the beginning here,
let's put you on idle here. We got to save you up for the bourbon bullshit segment. Let's not get too riled up. I'll go ahead and throw out one other housekeeping thing. Obviously, everyone listening to this podcast got a pretty good, hand on bourbon and everything going on with it. But if you ever have wanted to kind of, boost your bourbon IQ, spend some time with me and hang out, we have just launched our very first online classes, bourbon education. We've got a bourbon 101 bring your own bottle session that you can join. And then we have another bourbon in the blind tasting, which is a little bit more involved. But if you have an interest in wanting to take one of those classes and help support us through your ticket purchase, you can head over to bourbonbanter.com, and under resources, you can find the information there for the bourbon classes. So we encourage you to do that. And then if you work for a company and you would like to hire Bourbon and Banter to host a corporate whiskey tasting for you, we can do that as well. Whether you're looking for something in person or virtual, we have options through some partners of ours to help you put together a memorable event, because as I have been telling people for years, no one remembers an event because of the salad.
That's very true. And just think about this, folks. You've got a coworker that you've always wanted to tell them exactly what you think. Why not let Bourbon and Banter do that for you? Pops may not, but I will.
That's right. Plenty of comical add-ons for your next bourbon tasting. So drop us a note, as always, podcast@bourbonbanter.com if you're interested in any of those, and we'll connect with you and we'll put together something and have a lot of fun. And with, Bob, with everybody starting to get back together in person and do some events, this is a great way to kind of celebrate 17 plus months of lockdown, because God knows everybody needs a drink.
Everybody needs a drink. We all do.
All right. Well, apparently, not everyone, but let's go ahead and get into the whiskey news. All right, folks, this is going to come as a earth-shattering, shocking surprise, but once again, our friends in South Africa, better known as the Chuckleheads, are back in the news because they are looking at extending the alcohol ban for 2 more weeks. This comes straight from the drinksbusiness.com, so you know it's legit. And basically, the fears that the country's 4th booze ban would be extended beyond 12th deadline has been confirmed. So to our friends in South Africa, God bless you guys. I don't know how you're surviving it, but we feel for you, and we want you to know that we're here for you. And unfortunately, I can't host a whiskey tasting for you virtually because you can't get any booze, and I can't ship you any booze.
I got an idea here. So Sir Richard Branson, who just went up to space, let's get a Bourbon and Banter cargo plane, and let's just do a bourbon drop over the fine folks in South Africa. Come on, Branson. You know you want to do it.
All right. All we need is a sponsor with lots of money, right?
He's got the money to do it. Come on, Bezos and Musk, they ain't going to do this. But Richard Branson, if you're going to have a drink with a billionaire, think about it. That's the guy you want to have a drink with.
Well, this is going back a few years. I don't know if you remember this, but he had a reality TV show called The Rebel Billionaire. And entrepreneurs came on to compete for a chance to work for him and I think get some investment. And it turns out that a woman that I knew from back in high school had applied and actually was a participant on that show. So she's always got these great stories and photos of her hanging out with Sir Richard. So Heather, if you listening, and I know you're not, hook us up, will you? We just need a plane, some money, and we'll hook it up. I mean, I'm doing Bourbon and Banter full time now, people. So I got nothing but time. And to those of you that's in South Africa, once again, we feel for you, for all the alcohol companies, the bars, the restaurants that are losing money, which right now they say that the ban is put 4,600 jobs at risk and is costing the government, just the government, 5.1 billion rand in tax revenue. So we feel for everybody down there, and hopefully you guys can get your shit together, because they say that by doing this, they're preventing the spread of COVID. I don't know. I don't know if the science is there, but I do know that it's spreading discontent. So God bless, Godspeed, and thanks for continuing to be a hot news item for us. So speaking of getting liquor to people, another survey came out showing that the nation overwhelmingly supports direct-to-consumer shipping of spirits. Now, you may remember episode or 2 ago, I had a survey that was sponsored by the distributors that said consumers were fine with the way things were and they weren't looking for any changes in the system. Well, Discus, which is more of a consumer-facing and works for the brands, it's a group put together from the different brands for responsibility and promotion of the category, surveyed more than 2,000 spirits consumers for this analysis, and they are very, very much in favor of getting distillers and distilleries the ability to ship directly to legal age individuals, putting them on par with what wine and beer companies have been able to do for a very, very long time. Once again, in this country, some laws are great, but then when you're treating different categories differently, that speaks of who's giving who the most money and making the deals in the back room. So let's level the playing field here, folks, and let's keep pushing and allows these distilleries an opportunity to ship direct and ease the burden put on them to get brands in front of people for trial and purchase. Because if you've never tried to build a spirits brand and work with distributors, you have no idea just how big of an uphill battle it is, even if your product is one of the best people have ever tried. So speaking of brands that actually made it through the gauntlet of launching and becoming a favorite, Angel's Envy announced this week that they are expanding their downtown Louisville brand home. So if you've ever been down there, they've got a gorgeous building in downtown Louisville where they are distilling, a great gift shop and bar. Well, they're going to expand that. They're putting about $8.2 million in it to double the guest capacity and create 20 new jobs along with that for the long haul. So that's fantastic. Construction started late 2020, and so the plans they've revealed now are putting some visuals to it. And they expect to have this open to the public in the spring of 2022, so not too far off. So if you go over to bourbonbanter.com and look at our recent post, you'll be able to see some photos of what the new space is going to look like. It's going to look absolutely gorgeous, and we wish Wes and his family and all the people at Angel's Envy all the best luck with this expansion. Now, last episode, I believe we talked about the new launch from Scottie Pippen, Digits, his new celebrity bourbon, right?
Digits.
How many digits you holding up? Oh, one. Okay, got it.
Just one. Just one digit.
Well, on the heels of that, he hit the news again, and the title is Olympian Scottie Pippen hosts fans at his home court for the Olympic Games. Well, if you've been hiding under a rock, you may not have learned this, but the Olympics are going to happen this summer in Tokyo without fans, I believe is what they've said, the latest statement.
That's what's happening.
So Scotty, along with some other famous athletes like Larry Bird and Patrick Ewing, are hosting the ability through Airbnb for you to actually book time in their home and watch the Olympics while you're there. Now, this is kind of a unique thing because, first of all, you hear this, you're like, wow, you get to hang out with Scottie Pippen. And you said, secondly, oh my God, what the hell was that going to cost? All right, well, a couple interesting facts here, Bob. Scottie Pippen isn't going to be there.
Yeah, there's a fucking surprise.
So you get a virtual greeting upon check-in from Pippen himself. Now, doesn't say that it's a live virtual greeting. It's probably some pre-recorded shit, like a hologram or something. It probably wouldn't be that nice, right? Saying, hey, thanks for coming. Don't fuck up with my stuff. Don't steal anything. We appreciate it to leave it in the condition you arrive. And you can book it for 3 one-night stays for up to 4 people per stay for $92 a night.
How do you get $92? $92 a night? Does Scotty really need the $92 a night? Well, I mean, it's not 89 and a 109 and nothing like that. You get your hologram from Pippen. You get to play a fucking game of one-on-one or a round of horse. Really? You get to use the court, but you can't play a game on the court. It's got to be either one-on-one or fucking horse.
Well, I think you can ultimately do whatever you want, but the $92, at least I have an answer for you on that. And that price is a nod to the year that he and his teammates became gold medalists at the Olympics. So clearly,
yes. Okay, so that's the last time anybody gave a shit about Scottie Pippen was in 1992.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I tell you what, that's about 3 times what his bourbon's worth. You guys didn't see it, but there was almost a clean up an aisle Bob.
Yeah.
I always wait till just when he's taking a sip.
Almost sprayed the microphone
on
that one, boy. But I mean, come on, really? If you're gonna do $92, Scotty, eat the 3 one-night stays, so $300. You can't spare $300. Let some freaking people stay in a joint and not fucking charge them. Come on, kiss my ass.
Well, if you're interested, go and just do a Google search on Scottie Pippen Airbnb promo, and you'll find the information there. I don't know. I thought it was fun to bring this in just simply because we were bashing his Digits whiskey. And I was disappointed that it didn't say that you got a bottle of Digits because you stayed there. So Scotty, if you or any of your agents are listening, definitely throw a couple bottles in, and if you can hook up, give them something nice as well. That'd be appreciated, I'm sure.
You give them a bottle of your whiskey, then a bottle of real whiskey, and there you go.
There you go. So, speaking of drinking whiskey, hopefully good whiskey, another new study came out that says drinking alcohol may be related to cancer, study finds, but there are many unknowns. So we're going to put this in the file, the big file drawer we have called duh, no shit. But I know when you were looking at these data points, you had some big kind of like, what the fuck?
Well, so there's almost half, 47%. They said they were linked to heavy drinking. So the authors of the study said that was anybody drinking 60 or more grams of alcohol, more than 6 drinks a day. If you're drinking more than 6 drinks a day, every day, you've got a lot of shit to worry about, not just cancer. So it's, you see these headlines and these big stories, and I saw it on the national news, and you're just trying to scare people by saying you find anything can link it to anything else. If you say that brushing your teeth twice a day could actually lead to cancer, I bet you could find a study that would tell you that that's absolutely true.
Absolutely. I know.
They're also saying, we need to, the doctoral student at the WHO was saying that, the public health strategies such as reduced alcohol availability, labeling alcohol products with a health warning, and marketing bans could reduce the rates of alcohol-driven cancer. So, and I think she's actually from South Africa's government. But come on, if somebody's drinking that much every day, you think they don't suspect, I'm just drinking grape juice. This is just soda. It's not doing nothing. Come on.
Well, if you're drinking that much, this type of warning is not going to keep you from drinking because you probably have an addiction level issue, right? Because that's a lot of booze. I mean, I can sit down and have more than that drinks in a night, but every night, every week, every month for a full year, those types of levels. I mean, how does the cancer get you? Doesn't your liver shut down first? I mean, holy crap.
Yeah. And they're saying, at the end of it, they said it's difficult to tell whether or not a person who bought a bottle of alcohol consumed the whole thing themselves, or if they took it to a party where multiple people drank some of it. So they're basing this off of information that they don't even have accurate information on. But yet, what's the headline? Alcohol causes cancer. Well, so, kiss my...
No, I mean, and, once again, this is why we consider, it's so important for us to be the most honest podcast in all of bourbon, right? No bullshit here, just the truth, just the honesty. Neat, like our whiskey, straight. You got it. All right. And just for those of you, just so we don't get any of those emails, we know cancer is serious. We know it. We've all been affected by it. So, but once again, bacon causes cancer. Vacuuming your house 4 times a week causes cancer. So everything in excess will cause cancer. So let's instead put our efforts into curing cancer and research, and we'll do that. And that is something we can drink to.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to drink to that, what can we drink? Well, a couple new whiskey release announcements to share. There's been a lot coming around, but just a couple to kind of highlight. We're going to put this under in the bourbon you'll never actually see on your fucking shelf category. Old Forester, once again, announced the 21st edition of their annual birthday bourbon. Yes, Bob?
I have to wonder here with this one. So it comes out every year, but I have not seen a bottle of Old Forester birthday bourbon on a shelf ever. So is it really a birthday? Is it really the 21st birthday, or is it more like the 3rd birthday? Because maybe you only see one, it's like a white whale. You only see one every 15 years. So is it actually the 21st
so if you
birthday?
Don't see it, did it actually
I don't know.
Happen? Well, you see people bitching about it, like us, so I think it happens. But for those of you who give a shit about this one, the details that you need to be aware of are as follows. This is a 12-year-old barrel, and it's presented at 104 proof. It's comprised of 119 barrels filled on April 16th, 2009. Oh, I remember that day well. And matured in warehouse G. G for Garrett. That's my last name, so it's got to be good. And so when looking at the tasting notes here, which are always fun because, we love Jackie's Icon. But when they put these tasting notes together, we always have to roll our eyes. And it says color, golden citrine. Just imagine golden citrine. Hold on. I feel calm already. Now the aroma now. You ready for this? Hold on. This is long. So I gotta prep myself. The aroma, a beautiful symphony of berry and dessert components. Red raspberry preserves join plump, juicy blackberries and dried strawberries to set the tone, nestled in a bed of dried herbs and balanced with vanilla cream brulee, subtle pecan, rich maple syrup, and cocoa.
Bullshit. You are not getting all that shit off of the fucking nose. I'm sorry.
The taste, rich and inviting. The velvety mouthfeel carries notes of buttery caramel, burnt sugar, and a touch of fresh baked Linzer cookie. The silky palate quickly awakens into a bright, peppery peripheral spice.
Now, see, all that I could see. There's a lot of,
What the fuck is a Linzer cookie?
A Linzer cookie? It's a cookie. It's a fucking
Google
cookie.
It.
You know it when you taste it. No, when you fucking taste it's a cookie.
Just like when
it's
freshly
butter,
greased
caramel,
ball bearings.
burnt sugar, and cookies and pepper. That's what you say. But to say it that way, it doesn't sound good. So you got to say all the rich and inviting and velvety, all this shit.
All right. No, I'm Googling it. I got to know what a Linzer cookie is.
Okay, that's fine. I remember this draws me back to the time that I first met Pops years ago. And one of the first things you and I ever talked about was tasting notes.
Right.
At the time, I said, what is it with all this shit? And Pops turns to me and says, yeah, they make most of that shit up.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Linzer cookies, because I'm uneducated. Born in the city of Linz, the tart consists of a crust made from flour and ground nuts, traditionally almonds, filled with black currant preserves and topped with a lattice crust. Linzer cookies mimic the tort with their almond flour dough and fruit jam filling.
So why would they say Linzer cookie instead of it's an almond blend with, why wouldn't they say marzipan, the ultimate of all tasting notes?
Well, I was going to say it's not like they're trying to be efficient with the word count on the aroma. But let's get to the finish. Lengthy and warm with subtle dryness. Subdued notes of chocolate, raisin, and cool herbs linger in the shadow of stark oak spice.
I always wondered how a liquid could be dry, but
So, I just want to point out that the taste has far less than 200 flavors. I know that relates to Woodford Reserve. So, just so you guys know, buying the birthday bourbon, you're being shorted. Because Woodford Reserve has 200 flavors, according to them.
Yeah, and what is this? I'm counting up about less. 17, 18 right
But
here.
you are getting Linzer cookies, so there's that. But God bless. I mean, I've always been a fan of most of the birthday bourbon, so the whiskey's fine, right? The whiskey's good. But yes, these tasting notes are getting out of hand. And that's why, we are slowly moving with our reviews. Especially the ones that I write. I'm not putting tasting notes, mine, in anymore. I'm just going to put the brands in because what I think people really care about is whether or not we think you should buy a bottle, try it at a bar, or whether it's a bust, you don't buy anything. So we're going to save a little time in our lives. So God bless the creative writers. I was never good in creative writing because I didn't have the energy to draw things out. So well done on these review notes. And hey, if you are lucky enough to track one of these down, put down the time and effort to try this year's birthday bourbon, drop us a note. Let us know what you think of it. And we would love to know if you actually find Linzer cookie in what you drink.
And I also want to know where you put it. How many bottles you got to clear out so it can sit on your shelf. It's a gorgeous bottle.
2.
But, I know I've never come across the bottle in the store because I know the minute that I get anywhere near it, I'm going to hear the I Dream of Jeannie song playing in the background.
Well thought of. Well, speaking of something a little bit more attainable, our friends at Wyoming Whiskey have released Thunder Basin as their 221 Wyoming exclusive bottling. So every year they put out some bottles that are exclusive to their state. And Thunder Basin is actually the 5th installment in the series. which includes Eclipse from 2017, Steamboat from 18, and Statesman from 2019, and finally Hole in the Wall from 2020. This is crafted from a 12-barrel blend, and it is aged 7 years and harvested from the middle of their warehouse and bottled at 96 proof. Now, Bob and I have never hid our love of Wyoming whiskey, and it has become a go-to for me in a lot of the tastings that I do as the weeder that I use, because let's face it, just about everybody has tried Maker's Mark or is familiar with it. And for me, while Larceny is no slouch, it's also not that great for me in terms of what I like to put in a whiskey and introduce people to. So this Wyoming has been great. Now, this is a state exclusive. I don't have a bottle in front of me. I would love to give it a shot. So maybe the Wyoming whiskey gods will smile and bob in here soon. But once again, we are still on track to do a private barrel pick with them this year. And that, my friends, is the most important thing to know about Wyoming whiskey.
Yeah. And Pops and I, it is also no secret that we hit craft distilleries pretty hard in our craft shoot. And I have never shied down from the fact that I just don't get a lot. But I have to say hats off to the folks from Wyoming whiskey. They are really doing some wonderful stuff. And I've got a couple bottles. I'm on my second of 3 bottles now of one of those private picks that they did up in Minneapolis that my brother secured for me. And it is fantastic. It's wonderful honey and oranges and just really beautiful. So when we see it, we definitely want to call attention to the fact that these folks are really doing some wonderful things with craft whiskey. So our hats off to Wyoming. Yeah, I'd like to taste that myself. So.
Absolutely. And then the last thing to announce on limited releases is Limestone Branch has announced a new Yellowstone limited edition expression for this year. This is going to be 7-year-old and 15-year-old bourbons, hand-selected by Limestone Branch Master Distiller Stephen Beam, including 7-year-old barrels finished in Amarone casks. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And these are going to hit retail in July at a price recommendation of $99 a bottle, which has become, unfortunately, kind of the standard release price for limited editions. That aligns perfectly well with Luxco's pricing strategy on their LTDs, of which Limestone is, I think, roughly half owned by Luxco, or dare we say MGP at this stage of the game. But we just did our Yellowstone release, which we talked about at the top of the show, and we think this is a great one to probably take a look at and check it out. The whiskey components in this one, though, are most likely not sourced from Barton, but instead sourced from their longtime partner, Heaven Hill. So Heaven Hill obviously does great juice, and putting a 7-15-year-old together with a little bit of the Amarone finish could be interesting. And check it out if you can. And once again, $99 for limited release isn't awful. It's a little bit more than I like to pay for anything, but your mileage may vary. So check it out. All right, well, that just about does the news, right, Bob? Unless, you don't have anything extra to say, do you?
I got something.
All right, hit me with it, brother.
The biggest story, in recent weeks coming out of the bourbon world is the opening of Heaven Hill's new visitor center. Our hats are off to the Shapiro family and everybody at Heaven Hill for what we've been told is a fantastic facility, an incredible experience. Our buddy Steve Coombs was down there, said it's just gorgeous and beautiful. They're booked up, I think, for like 6 months.
Yeah, that's what Bernie was saying.
And things like that. Yeah, so it's really, really fantastic. So, congratulations to Heaven Hill. And in wanting to bring even more unique opportunities to their consumers, we've learned that they've been working with the folks behind legendary hot dog maker Indianapolis's King David Dogs to craft a very special treat that will only be available at the new visitor center.
All right, now consider my curiosity piqued, because I'm a fan of those King David hot dogs.
The King David hot dogs are the best hot dogs I have ever had in my life, and I am a hot dog connoisseur.
Some big fucking endorsement right there.
I have been searching for years for the ideal hot dog, and I finally had a chance to try the King David dogs. Those are the perfect hot dog.
All right. Well, you're off to a great start. I'm salivating starting. Let's see where this thing goes.
Well, so naturally, this is an industry first concept coming from the mind of bottled and bond enthusiast and all around great human being, Bernie Lubbers.
Fantastic.
So Bernie's love of classic cars is well documented. You know this specifically, Pops. You guys were talking about it. He was showing you pictures.
Yep.
And what most people don't know, though, is that his love stems from what he used to ride in his dad's Cadillac down to Harry's Hot Dogs, which was a few miles from Fall City Brewery, where his father and his grandfather used to work. And it seems Bernie had a deep affection for the corn dogs at Harry's and wanted to find a particular way to connect his fondness for corn dogs to his other love, whiskey, particularly bottled and bond whiskey.
All right.
So Bernie had a chance meeting with one of the family members from King David Dogs, who also happens to be a bourbon aficionado. And it got Lubbers thinking about not just creating a great corn dog, but one that would also incorporate his obsession with a bartender's bottom shelf favorite and Heaven Hill trademark, their mellow corn.
Oh, boy. I think I know where this is going.
So you know where this is going. It took a couple of years tinkering with the mellow corn dog recipe, but finally, after reducing the amount of corn whiskey used in the batter and basting the hot corn dog with it after frying, voila, he had the perfect corn dog.
Oh, snap. Mellow corn dog.
Mellow corn dog.
Shit. You may just have found a reason to have mellow corn on the shelf.
That's
because
right.
I hadn't found a reason otherwise.
I haven't found one either, but this is sounding really, really good. So you deep fry it in a batter that's got the mellow corn in it, and then you've got a mellow corn reduction that you base the hot fried dog with. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, I see a tasting coming up.
So, longtime musician, everybody knows that Bernie's a longtime musician. The hot dogs were supposed to be part of a marketing strategy for his debut album, but the recording wound up getting pushed back because of the pandemic. Hot Dog, it's Bernie Lubbers. That's what it's called. I would buy that record. I could see that on store shelves. See it up on billboards in Times Square. Hot Dog, it's Bernie Lubbers.
That fits.
So it's being slated for a late fall release now. Will feature many of Lubbers' trademark whiskey-related songs. And so with the new visitor center opening, he thought it was the perfect item to add excitement to the new facility. Now, convincing Max, that was another story altogether.
I bet it was.
So Max is apparently a hot dog traditionalist. He enjoys nothing on his hot dog except a small amount of mustard. But when Lubbers suggested making these Bernie's mellow corn dogs, he wanted to market them that way, and they would be sold from a cart outside the visitor center that was made from a classic 1933 Ford pickup. So 33 celebrating the year that Prohibition ended.
I see.
Shapiro thought it was an incredible idea.
Always the marketer.
Yeah, Max is a smart guy, boy. So Bernie's mellow corn dogs are a 1/4 pound all-beef King David dinner frank, dipped in mellow corn batter, fried, then brushed with a mellow corn reduction. They're going to make their debut at the Bottled and Bond Happy Hour on September 17th at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, then will be sold exclusively at the Heaven Hill Visitor Center. So, folks, you've got to go out. If you've got tickets, all the stuff for the Bourbon Festival is sold out. But if you've got tickets for that event on the 17th with Bernie, the Bottled and Bond Happy Hour, got to go up there, got to make sure you talk to Bernie and get one of those mellow corn dogs.
Man, that's going to be delicious. Oh, God damn. All right, now I got to go explain to my wife why I want corn dogs for dinner. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward.
You know, man, I've never really been a corn dog fan. I love hot dogs. Never been a corn dog fan. But this makes me want to. We've got to add, I don't know. I'm sure he's trademarked the recipe. But I say, we've got to talk to Bernie and see if we can find out just exactly how he made this work.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't eat corn dogs until I was in college. And I have to say, a good one is worth its weight. I mean, it's a hell of a way. It's a much cleaner way to eat a hot dog. And with those King David dogs, that's what just blows my mind. Everything pulled together is going to be fantastic. Now I have to say, a little tongue in cheek, but now the question I have is, for those of you who met Bernie, and as Bob said, Bernie is an amazing guy, and a lot of people don't know this, but when we launched Bourbon and Banter years ago, one of the first things we did, and one of the reasons we launched our website, was because we wanted to create this behind-the-scenes tour in Kentucky. And so at the time, I got introduced to people at the distilleries and connected with Jim Beam. And they said, we're going to have you work with our ambassador for what you're doing. Well, at the time, that was Bernie. He had not moved over to Heaven Hill yet. And so Bernie was amazing. He hooked us up with a great behind-the-scenes tour, and he actually came out to dinner and hosted a dinner with us at the Maker's Mark restaurant down in 4th Street Live. And so he and I have been friends ever since then. And he's got a big tattoo on his arm, Bottled and Bond tattoo. So my question is, on the other gun, is it going to have room to put the mellow corn dog? Because that'd be pretty killer.
Is Bernie going to have a hot dog on one arm and a Bottled and Bond on the other?
That's right. He could die happy right there, but that's pretty sweet. And by the way, you guys, if you see him, ask him about his new car. He's got a gorgeous new car that he's very proud of, and he'll regale you with that. And as Bob said, hit him up for a coupon. He's a people pleaser, so definitely ask him about that.
If you can't get the corn dogs in that September date, he may have some coupons for the ones at the distillery at the visitor center. So make sure you hit him up. Tell him Bourbon and Banter sent you. You only hear this news right here at the most honest and biggest podcast in bourbon.
That's right, folks. And if you have a news item you want us to cover or dig into and find out what the hell is really going on, drop us a line, podcast@bourbonbanter.com, and we will put our sources to work for you. All right, folks, it's time for the craft shoot, but we're going to do things a little bit differently this episode. Instead of bringing it live to you, as entertaining as that may be, we're actually going to bring in a little segment we recorded when we were in Louisville a few weeks ago, hanging out with Kelly Ramsey from Art Eatables. In that segment, we asked Kelly if pairing chocolate with bourbon could actually make us like a bourbon that we didn't like drinking. So in other words, can chocolate save bourbon? So we invite you to give a listen, and we're going to revisit a whiskey that failed horribly in a previous craft shoot. And we're not going to tell you what it is because that would spoil the surprise. So enjoy, and if you got some bad whiskey, you might want to buy some chocolate. Let's find out. Finish what's in your glass. We on the regular Bourbon and Banter podcast, we do a segment called The Craft Shoot. And this is where my wife is taking a lot of the samples that we get and put them blind in little sample bottles. And then we randomly pick one for each episode, and we try it and comment on it, kind of lightning speed fashion, really quick. Then there's an envelope, a la Johnny Carson. We rip it open and we unveil what it is. And sometimes the craft distilleries are happy, and sometimes they're crying.
And a lot of times they're not happy.
So we get a lot of bad whiskeys where we're going with this.
Right.
Sorry, folks, but there's just newsflash, there's bad whiskey out there. So we had this idea, was like, canned chocolate save a bad whiskey? So we have a little whiskey here. We don't have a lot of this because we didn't get a lot. And I want to give us all a little pour of it. And then I want us to take a small sip. And then I want you to give us a chocolate and talk to us about your theory as we try it and see if your chocolates can save bad whiskey. So pass me your cups.
So I still get a lot of, it just sort of tastes unaged. A lot of corn.
A lot of oak.
A lot of oak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very astringent.
It tastes unaged, but it's so dark, so it had to have aged longer.
Well, we'll tell you after we try to fix this here.
Okay.
So what do you want us to throw in with this, see if we can save this?
Okay, so let's do this. And I think, because
Holy
of the
crap,
oakiness.
that looks like a brick.
Oh, these are our chocolate-covered sea salt Majescas. So the Majesca is a Louisville traditional candy. It's a caramel marshmallow. But we do ours with sea salted caramel, a little bit of Old Forester bourbon, but it cooks out in the process. Dark chocolate with extra bourbon sea salt on top. So
should be filming this episode.
So if you ever do the Old Forester tour, this is what they give out with their tasting.
You gotta be.
It's like a candy bar. It's
God
so good.
damn it.
So
what were we talking about?
The
so
answer
I say
is
forget
yes.
I say forget the whiskey and just have the chocolate
The
at this
answer is
point.
yes. Can Kelly save bad bourbon? Yes, she can.
Right.
Makes you forget all about it. So I think if we were to do that, and see, that's the thing is I'd have to, if I had prepared and knew about this, I would have found something I think would have gone with it. But I have to say, the dark chocolate, because it has a little bit of vanilla in it, will help hopefully take care of some of that oak that's in there.
All right, here goes.
But it brings the caramel and the vanilla out that you would hopefully find in a good bourbon. And because I don't get that in this one at all.
Yeah, that rescued that boy.
You know, though, I'm not finding this one as unpleasant as you all are.
We're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe I'm just being nice. Okay. I mean, it's not something I would drink. It's not something definitely wouldn't drink.
It's good for cleaning your engine.
Well, let me share this with you. So, without telling you what it is, I'll tell you the MSRP. You want to guess the MSRP on that bottle?
Well, with it being a craft distiller, you're probably looking at, what, $89 to $120?
$200.
No.
$199.
Okay.
And it's their flagship.
It's their flagship? Okay. So what state are they saying this is bottled
Oh, just
in?
guess. Based on what that tastes like, where do you think that came from? Tasting young, looking old. Sorry, we're putting her on the spot, people. I'm just stalling while I eat
Was
this
it like,
chocolate.
is it like Texas?
Ding, 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 ding,
Oh,
ding, ding, ding,
We
ding.
got a winner.
is it Balcones? Oh no, it's they came to our society meeting. Oh, hang on, Garrison Brothers.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon, which, as I said when we first tasted it on the podcast, comes with a medal. Pops told me it comes with a medal, and I said the medal is there so you can take it off the bottle and beat the shit out of whoever tastes it and pay $200 for this bottle.
Or
of
you
whiskey.
can lick it. No, I'm just kidding. It might be better tasting. I'm just playing.
All right,
I did not say
I
so.
got,
So,
okay,
let's
here's
get-
the official word. Here's the official word here. Kelly, I don't know if this chocolate can make that whiskey better, but this chocolate has made me totally fucking forget about that whiskey.
That's
And
very,
that's
very
the
true.
goal. There you
That's-
go. See?
Those are amazing. Those things.
God damn.
Then I think I won at that one. I guessed it, and I gave you some good
Yes,
chocolate.
yeah. So actually, she's making
Have another
she's
pour of that
making us
H&M
really
good.
really look bad in terms of trying to guess what these things are. She's
This is why we don't usually
here's-
interview people.
Yeah, well,
It's not hard.
there you go.
All right, folks. So what did you think? You know, Garrison Cowboy Bourbon, right? We hated it. Did not like it in the craft shoot. And, well, I don't really think chocolate can save shit. Not when Garrison's is involved. What do you think, Bob?
Well, here's the thing about it is, I do think the chocolate can save it, especially those sea salt chocolate Majeskas that Kelly makes at Art Eatables, which is what we were eating when we had this. And the way that they save the bourbon is that they make you completely forget about the bad bourbon. So can chocolate save bourbon? Yes, it can, because when it is this good, you forget completely about the overpriced, overhyped, meddled bullshit bottle that you were drinking, and you just want more of that chocolate.
Oh, just you wait. You think you said meddled or just you wait. I got something for you coming up.
Oh, good.
You're going to love this one.
Good Lord.
Well-
Yeah, that's the thing. So I will say that if you are in or around the Louisville area, or if you can get them shipped when weather is permitting and schedules are permitting, those Majeskas and anything that Art Eatables makes is absolutely phenomenal. You will never want to eat other chocolate again. Trust me. And this is take it from the biggest podcast in bourbon, the most honest. But it was like a spiritual awakening, I think, when we had.
Well, yes, you'd never had their stuff before, so it was really fun to see you react. But I've been, Kelly and I have known each other for 10 years now. She actually reached out as, the podcast, when that airs later, we'll talk about. She reached out to us when we had just launched, and she was just getting started, and we became the first site to ever give her a review. So fantastic lady, fantastic family, and tremendous product. You definitely have to check them out. And we may just have something really cool cooked up, no pun intended, with her for Bourbon Heritage Month. So you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned and listen carefully to every word that we say moving forward. And moving forward, you know what time it is, Bob? It's time for
bourbon bullshit.
All right, folks, it's time for the world's #1 super galactic session, Bourbon Bullshit. That's right, your favorite podcast segment. Joe Rogan has got nothing on this. And you know what? If you know Joe Rogan, let him know I said that. I'd love to chat with him about it and prove that we're right. So, that said, we got a laundry list of things here that are sure to entertain and get blood pressures raised and boiling, especially Bob. So with that, I'm just going to say 2 words, and let's see what the word association is. Glencairn pipette. Now, what is a Glencairn pipette, Bob?
So for those of you that have been with us since the beginning, you'll remember that when we first did one of our first reviews, Revisited, and we revisited the Norland glass, it then prompted us to look into other things that Norland offered. And there was a glass pipette that they had that caused me to almost go into cardiac arrest because they were selling a glass straw for $50. And then when we did the Bourbon Bullshit Live, it came back up again. So this pipette has kind of been a rolling thing through the Bourbon and Banter team of, if you want to set Bob off, just talk about a pipette. And when we were talking about that glass, we said, well, our friends at Glencairn have got the perfect glass for us. We'll stick with that. We don't need this Norland shit, whatever. So a couple weeks ago, I see an ad for the new Glencairn pipette.
Boom, boom, boom.
My soul just bottomed out, and I was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me now!" Now Glencairn's doing the goddamn pipette. So, but what I will say is that at least Glencairn's pipette is like $6 or $7. It's a glass straw. You know something? If you've got to have a freaking pipette, okay, there you go. But really, do you need it? Go back and watch our Bourbon Bullshit Live. You can see my homemade pipette tricks, and that's all you got to go. Go to your QT, get a straw, cut it in half. There's your pipette. The end.
Still one of the best visual segments we've ever done, by the way. You can find that Bourbon Bullshit Live on our Facebook page under videos and on our YouTube channel as well. If you need some comic relief, just have a towel ready for all the spit takes you're going to get from our radical transparency, I think is what it's called in the corporate world. Well, when you share this with Bob, I have a lot of respect for Glencairn. I love their glasses. I know the head of their U.S. sales and marketing efforts. He's an amazing guy. He does a lot of really good stuff. And they've been a sponsor of our Bourbon Heritage Month efforts as well, giving some great swag for giveaways. So I love the brand, but when you announced the pipette, I knew where it was going to go, and so I took a look at it. And you're absolutely right; it's priced much more reasonably for what it is at the end of the day. And at least they did something. I'm a big guy, so I don't use the word cute very often. But actually, I've used the word cute to describe 2 products in the last 30 days, and they're both Glencairn products. The first one is their Wee Glencairn. If you haven't seen this yet, it's looks like a regular Glencairn.
That's not the right way you say it.
Wee.
You've got to put the
Wee
Glencairn.
The Wee Glencairn. All right.
Fine. The Wee Glencairn.
I want that as a soundbite for when you call my phone.
Glencairn.
That's what I want. Which I love the little ones. They're exactly like the full size in a smaller package, and they're really kind of fun to put into whiskey tastings. But then the pipette is a pipette. It's functional, but then they actually are on the top of it, where you would normally have like the little bulb part that holds the whiskey, right? They have a little Glencairn shape at the top of it. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of clever. I don't know if it makes you need one any more than that, but at least it's on brand. It's not trying to be some abstract piece of art. It's functional, and they're clearly doing it as a market. Like somebody wanted one, they made one.
Yeah, and I love this what they do. I'm a very big fan of the Glencairn glass. I tell people all the time, if you're drinking whiskey, it's just like drinking wine. If you drink it out of the wrong glass, you're going to get a bunch of stuff or not get a bunch of stuff that you should. So I am not. But I saw that. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, Christ! Here we go.
It was a triggering moment. Is that what you're saying? You were triggered.
It was a what?
Triggering.
It was a triggering moment.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Well, see, even us grown men can get triggered. So anyway, but if you're listening, Marty, if you want to send us a couple to try out and change your mind, we're happy to take you up on the challenge. Well, let's that wasn't real hot. I mean, it wasn't really you were mad at me. It was just the observation. And by the way, Norland, what the fuck? Really? All right. The other one I want to talk about that's on our list today, and I think we touched on this a little bit last time when we talked about it, but the topic being Flaviar.
So I mentioned to everybody that I silenced all the bourbon groups on Facebook. So I don't have to look at all of that shit ridiculousness coming up. But I still get a lot of whiskey driven ads. And I'm getting, this thing popping up, whiskey lovers can't live without it. So what the fuck? And it's Flaviar. Now, the concept behind Flaviar, being able to get samples and not have to buy a full bottle. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm for that. But all of their marketing and branding, it's got piggyback from Whistle Pig and but all this craft shit that nobody wants to fucking drink, but whiskey lovers can't live without it. The samples, they say, they're selected by industry professionals and a resident flavor magician. The fuck is a resident flavor magician? Is that somebody who takes the shitty whiskey that they're sending you an 1.5 ounce sample of and magically makes it taste delicious? Is it a Lucky Charms of whiskey box? I don't fucking get it. What the fuck is a flavor magician? A flavor magician pops to you. Does that not sound like somebody who's tinkering with shit behind the curtain?
It sounds like a guy who's probably got either a restraining order or is on probation.
Something like that. They've got, then I think maybe they've been watching us or listening to us a little bit more. And they've got this, millennial asshole sitting there doing smart ass corner, talking pretentious and shit. It should be called douchebag corner. You watch one of these fucking things.
I've not seen this yet. Smart ass corner. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's smart ass corner. Yeah. I got a foot for your smart ass, and then now Tony Hawk's doing flavor. Tony Hawk hasn't been relative since the mid 90s. He sells his sneakers at Kohl's. Come on.
Well, hey, we talked about it. I believe that whole Tony Hawk commercial was so badly produced, awkward, uncomfortable.
Forced.
I still don't know what's going on with his freaking eyebrows and the makeup that they did. I mean, once again, I have nothing against Tony Hawk, and he needs to make as much money as possible, right? Because he obviously, as you get older, you really can't do that kind of physical activity like you did before at that level. So I'm all for him making money, but this was just one of the worst brand celebrity executions that I've seen in a long time. And I've been privy to a lot of them working as a digital marketer over the years and whatnot. So nice try, but they failed miserably. They could have probably done better doing an integration with Jackass 17 or something like that. That would have been a better pairing. If they're going after that same audience.
But if you're going to tell me that you're going to send me whiskey samples, send me whiskey samples from shit that I want to be drinking, not random shit that's just all this fucking horrible shit. Whether it's an 1.5 ounces or a full bottle, if it sucks, it still sucks.
Well, and that's a much larger discussion about everything whiskey related. We go there. So that brings us, I guess, to our next topic, which is, where does one turn to find the best whiskey? Well, we dove into it last time. I got pretty hot under the collar talking about, spirits competitions. And I thought, just for the hell of it, to see if I could stroke out, we'd revisit the topic this week. Because I saw a press release go out about the Ascot Award results. So if you've been following, this is Fred Minnick's new creation this past year, creating the Ascot Awards. And because I guess he thought that there weren't enough award shows. I have a better idea why he's done it. But anyway, not to get into that. But the press release talked about that they blind tasted. They spent 2 months blind tasting more than 600 spirit samples with a team of 27 industry professionals, many of whom I know, and they're truly great and talented people, just like Fred. And they announced the winners on National Bourbon Day. Now, I've long questioned why these competitions exist, right? Because it's subjective to these people. These people have palates and experience that are well beyond the consumer. And I still question nightly why we write reviews, in the sense that if your palate doesn't align with me, you may like a whiskey that I pan, right? So it's all subjective, and we know that every time we write a review. We know that. But people spend a lot of money. The entry fee for the Ascot Awards this year was $450 per spirit sample. And then they had a lower fee for marketing campaigns. Now we know they did 600 spirit samples were submitted. And I'm just going to double check my math here so I don't get this wrong. But 600 samples submitted at $450 a sample. It's $270,000 in entry fees. Plus whatever was entered for the marketing campaign, maybe another $30,000, $40,000. Let's call it just round 300,000. Now, that may not be the numbers taken, but when you just think about all that money that was invested, kudos to Fred, kudos to the judges if they were getting paid. It's a moneymaker. They win, right? At the end of the day, spirits competition, no surprise there. Out of that, 55% of the entries got either a double platinum, or a gold award. They also had an award tier called honorable mentions, which they didn't release what percentage got in that because they said 15% were double platinum, the next 15% were platinum, and 25% were gold. So of the remaining 45%, we don't know if they all got the honorable mention, which my way of interpreting is that's kind of the fourth tier participation trophy for this award show. So once again, just looking at these numbers, looking at the money making, the value to the brand, once again, is Fred and his team of tasters are giving you their nod, their seal of approval, and that will sell bottles. I get that. Understand how it works. And when you're one brand, $450 is a very small price to pay for potentially winning. But let's take a closer look at who won. Now, lots of categories, and I'm only going to focus on two, and you can go to his website and get the rest of the information. But the best bourbon whiskey award went to, well, Stag Jr. No surprise, Buffalo Trace wins another award. It seems to be that every week I get a press release from someone at Buffalo Trace saying how many awards they've won that week. So this is just another one of many, which, hey, they make really great whiskey. They really do. Unfortunately, their business model is set up so that I can't get it. Well, not me specific. Well, actually me specifically, because they don't send us samples anymore. But when allocation and limited access is built into the way you do business, you know, I have an issue with that, no matter how great your whiskey is. So they've won the best bourbon whiskey. And according to this panel, 27 people, that is the best bourbon whiskey on the market right now. Well, I would not have put that on my top of my list personally. Your mileage may vary. Bob's shaking his head. How do you feel about that, Bob?
I mean, I like Stag Jr., but it's not the best whiskey.
All right.
No.
But the one that really got me riled up was the Craft Distiller of the Year. And that came out to be Garrison Brothers Distillery.
And if you're wondering why he got really riled up, just rewind the podcast about 6-7 minutes. 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. First of all, Texas has not done a lot for either of us. There are exceptions. Still, Austin is a great example. But Garrison Brothers, once again, not trying to take away from anything that they've done. But the whiskey for me is just, it's hot. It's intense. It's abrasive. And I just can't imagine how that came out on top of all the other potential craft distillers that could submitted samples to the competition. And I'm sure all the tasters have good logical rationale, right? I mean, once again, I respect the people that are doing the tasting. But it just, I think, further underscores for me that so many variables are at play that makes this spirit competitions really just, it's a snapshot, a moment in time. And we put too much dependency on it. And the real winners are the people that run the competitions. And hey, if you can pull off the business model, that's great for you. But from my perspective, there's got to be a better way. And I really hope that someone, I don't know who that could be, would figure out really, is there a better way to do awards? I mean, what are the award shows for the people? How can we build something that really carries weight, gravitas, if you will, and gets away from this whole, pay me tons of money and I'll give you, my seal of approval and move you forward as a brand because I have super tasting powers that have nothing to do with an average consumer. If only somebody could do that, Bob. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I think where you have to go with that is you have to go to an award where you don't have to pay to get in, where you don't have to submit, where the people who know are looking at it. And that is why the most honest podcast in bourbon and the most honest team in bourbon and the biggest team in bourbon is going to make the step with the Bourbon Bullshit Awards. That's right, boys and girls. The Bourbon Bullshit Awards are coming. We mentioned it last podcast. We're mentioning it now. For Bourbon Heritage Month, we will be rolling out the Bourbon Bullshit Awards. Now, so that's September, part of Bourbon Heritage Month. We're going to have categories like marketing campaign, like Pops was talking about. There's a marketing category for the Ascot Awards. Well, the Bourbon Bullshit Awards are going to call out the biggest bullshit in bourbon marketing.
Ooh.
We're going to call out things like the best use of a bottle design to hide subpar bourbon. The Bourbon Bullshit Award for bottle, that's what that's going to be. The Bourbon Bullshit Award for brand backstory. We all see this. We all talk about it. You may not talk about it publicly like we do, but we are, and we've talked about it on this podcast. There's all these things that are out there, people making up all this horse shit. We're going to have the Bourbon Bullshit Award for biggest bullshit brand backstory and overhyped bourbon. You want to talk about something that could be, geez, where do we even go with overhyped bourbon? But these are the awards that people really want to know about. This is what folks are wondering about.
Well,
they want to hear the reality that they know that they're talking about with their friends, just not publicly. Now, we also are going to have a site set up on the Bourbon and Banter website for legal help. So we do want to make sure that we can get your PayPal donation, your Venmo donation to help us with all the legal fees that are going to come from us announcing these awards.
That's right. The official Bourbon Bullshit Legal Support Fund is now taking donations. So donate often is the best thing. Well, Bob, these are going to be fantastic. And I don't know how we're going to narrow it down to one winner in these categories. We've still got a lot of work to do, right? We've got a little bit of time, but we've got a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to invite everyone listening to say, hey, you've heard a couple of the categories, right? Biggest bullshit marketing campaign, biggest bullshit use of bottle design to hide subpar whiskey, biggest bullshit brand story, biggest overhyped bourbon bullshit backstory, or overhyped bourbon, period. What else do you think we need to be zeroing in here, folks? This is your chance, okay? We're not going to, we are not going to charge the brands to submit their stuff for bullshit. We're not going to allow the brands to pay us not to talk about their brands for bullshit. We're not going to charge consumers to get this information. This is free. The Bourbon Bullshit Awards is the industry's 100% free awards category, right? So, I guess really the only thing that's, potentially an issue is that it's our opinion, so it's subjective. But hey, we're in good company with that. So if you have an idea of what we need to be calling bullshit on, send us a note, podcast@bourbonbanter.com. Put the subject line, Bourbon Bullshit Category Request, all right? And send it through. We're going to compile them all, and then our team is going to start narrowing this down. You may see posts on social media asking for input, things of that nature, but let's have some fun with this, right? What are you tired of, right? And maybe with a little luck, brands, when they're not busy writing papers to sue us, we'll say, you know what, maybe we need to dial that shit back a little bit, or maybe we should make our product a little bit more available. I can already tell you right now, the most allocation fuckery award is going to Buffalo Trace. I'm calling that one right now. Somebody can make a recommendation, surprise me, but I'm calling that one right now. And I just want to put something out there. I know bourbon bullshit.
I can't wait to see the award that says biggest bullshit allocation fuckery. That's good. That's a beautiful, piece right there. Just those 4 words together. Biggest bullshit allocation fuckery.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, and I misspoke. There is one thing we're going to charge brands for. So with the Ascot Awards and other award shows, if you win, you can buy a trophy. It doesn't come with winning. I'm not sure why, but you can. Well, I know why, but you have to buy it. We're not going to charge a brand for a trophy. But if they would like to avoid us delivering the trophy, they can pass. So we are going to kind of do a reverse thing there. But I do want to just say one thing. When I dove into this and the Ascot Awards and whatever, I know you guys are used to us getting really hot under the collar. But my children told me the other day that we were talking about something and I was like, sorry I yelled at you or something. Like, oh, don't worry, Dad. When you yell at us, it doesn't scare us. It's when you're more quiet and measured that we get really scared. So I just wanted to apologize for my lack of hostility on that Ascot Awards and my tone of voice. That was a little bit subdued. So it's simmering at a high level. But I'm hoping that the Bourbon Bullshit Awards will make me feel better. Will lighten me up a little bit.
I think they're going to make a lot of people feel better. They're also going to piss a lot of people off. So, it's coming.
I picked a good time to make this my full-time job. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. We said, look, somebody's going to do this. It better be the people that started calling out all this bullshit first. So Bourbon and Banter, the Bourbon Bullshit Awards are coming. May the bullshit beware.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That was a lot. And, this was our 17th episode. And they said we wouldn't go far. Well, yeah, if they only knew. Bob and I, as always, appreciate you for listening and hanging in there and spreading the word about our little podcast. And if you could take a moment out of your busy schedule and head over to podcast.bourbonbanter.com and click on that Apple Podcast button and leave us a review. Give us 5 stars because, let's face it, anything less than 5 stars really is, less than 5 stars. So, and then do us a solid and actually give us a review. And I don't want to put words in your mouth because that's not how we do things here. But I want to share 2 comments we received. The first one is something that we just recently got in email. And the email goes like this. You guys are fucking great. I love listening to you guys when I'm driving back and forth to work. I learn a lot, and it's really refreshing hearing you guys tell the truth. Keep up the good work. Regards, and keep drinking curious. That's a guy who gets it, right? The other one I wanted to share is relatively new. This is an actual review. Fucking awesome. You guys say the things I can't keep on, keeping it real. That's what keeps me going. It's not the donuts. It's not the bourbon. It's not hanging out with you, Bob. That's a close second. It's people realizing that, you know what? Life isn't have to be that serious. Let's have some fun. Let's dig into stuff. Let's keep it real. And let's have some laughs. We all need it more than ever. So leave us a review. Leave us some stars. And then when you're done with that, head over to Spotify. And do this on Apple too. Subscribe to us, right? All this helps boost our visibility because there are a lot of people in this world that don't know we exist, and you'll be doing your part to make the world a better place. So spread the word. We appreciate it. And of course, if you have recommendations, we will always take them under advisement. Podcast@bourbonbanter.com. I just proved we actually read the emails, so that's cool. And let us know what you like. You can let us know what you don't like. And we'll see what we can take care of. But always do that. And remember, we're coming up to Bourbon Heritage Month. So the next podcast will be the Bourbon Heritage Month podcast, right? So we'll be kicking that off. And we got a lot of really cool stuff planned. Can't divulge it all, but let me say, you're going to scratch your head and you're going to say, that's fucking cool, but where did they come up with that? So stay tuned. Subscribe to our email newsletter and keep on drinking. We really appreciate it. And on behalf of everyone here, thank you once again. And remember, folks, if you're going to drink curious.
Well, what's your preference? Bourbon, if you got it. bourbon from Kentucky.
I should certainly fucking hope so.